Okay, as hard as it is to admit, I think there's been one game that single-handedly killed my game dev progress for like the past month and a half. I say that like it's the past tense. No, this is still happening, and that game is Silksong. And I knew it would. This game is like the perfect storm for me. Beautiful art, incredibly difficult, and I don't know what to say. I'm a sucker for a good boss fight. It's the simple things. But I'm not a quitter, you know, don't get me wrong. I'm not giving up the game dev life. If anything, it's just kind of nice to have a game that I actually want to play for once. But game dev is still very much, it's in my bones. I'm not getting rid of that. And what better way to dust off the rust? That's not, wait, hold on. I'm rusty, and I'm dusting off the pages. Let's do a game jam. That's the line. And he's like a music drop, something like happens like right. It should have happened by now, I think. Okay, like always, it's the Godot Wild Jam. We got like a week and a couple days to make a game. You might be thinking, MZF, I don't like Godot, don't use that. If you think at this point I'm smart enough to learn 2 engines, thank you, I appreciate the compliment. That's very nice of you. The theme for this game jam was expansion, which I actually like as a theme. I think that's a good one. Chalk that up, that's one of the ones I do like. But I gotta be honest, regardless of whatever the theme was, I just want to make a boss fight because I've been playing a lot of Silksong and I only got kind of like one brain cell, and I just want to do my thing. No one lets me do my thing anymore. Okay, initially I thought it'd be pretty cool to have a boss fight that's just expanding as the fight goes on. So I get to work on some really basic environment art, that way we can get a feel for what this game is gonna look like. And as I'm working on this little area, it actually dawns on me right away, what I would love to do is to have a character that's changing and evolving as the fight goes on. We've all had boss fights where the enemy goes through different phases, but wouldn't it be interesting if the player went through those phases too? Worst case scenario, that it's not interesting at all, and we learn something. First step is figuring out the size, because when you work with pixel art and it starts to get bigger, then it becomes like normal art, and that's fucking terrifying. And you get flashbacks to taking art classes and not being that good at them and thinking, what are we doing here? This is not working. So let's start small. That's the answer. We start with a square. This is the first character. We're just gonna draw a little square. This is the best. I don't have to animate like anything. I have to animate stuff, but this takes like 13 seconds to animate this. I make them move around and swing a little slashy thing. It's kind of like every video you've ever seen me do. But this one's different because it's not top down. It's a side scroller, like Silksong. Remember Silksong? You should put Silksong in the thumbnail, in the silk tail. What the fuck? Now we gotta make an enemy. Who's the boss that's gonna fight the square? Who's the enemy of a square? I bet you're gonna think I'm gonna say circle, but you sorta, I guess, really, honestly. But I draw like a monster. Like, look, he's got a face and eyes, and he's really happy, which I think is kind of creepy. We give him some animations, but the cheat code for game design, as always, just make him fly, because that way his idle animation becomes his walk animation, and you're, half in the cost of development. Plus, if I'm being honest, there's always way too much stuff to draw, so let's just start cutting corners. I throw together some animations for him, and just like that, he's done. Although, at this point, I realize I'm coming up on a crossroads. We sort of have one of the characters in the game, you can move around and jump, and the enemy's there, he's just kind of standing there for now. And I can either, finish this boss fight and have a good idea of the concept of the game, or hear me out, draw more little dudes. So, this one's called Middle Guy, and then this one's Big Guy. I don't have any regrets. This is what I want to do. Just sit here all day and just draw nonsense. This is it. People, they ask. They go, hey, how's that game dev thing going? I go, it's going great. No, okay, I actually had a real legitimate reason why I wanted to do the pixel art first instead of coding. And that is, I think the size and the look of the characters is going to affect the gameplay dramatically, so I need to set that stuff in stone. Like, for instance, the first boss, I let him fly. If the other bosses are walking or jumping or something, I kind of need to know that. And I don't think it's that crazy just to sketch them out. That's not a big deal. So alongside our 3 sets of enemies, we have the 3 sets of the main character. And the idea is you're gonna fight the boss till you win, then your character changes and the enemy changes. And the fight continues on the same plane of existence, but now you're bigger. So yeah, that's gonna be fun, I think. So now I get to take a step back and look at the environment. Before I really wasn't too sure how big things could be, so I drew like this big skeleton in the foreground. But in retrospect, that's too big. He's like lore now. It's important story till I wasted my time. It's fun. In terms of environment art though, we get to do the fun stuff. Besides the obvious platform that the character is standing on, I get to do parallax backgrounds. They always look so good. You only have to draw like silhouettes of gizmos and gadgets or buildings. Sometimes it doesn't even make sense, but it looks good because it's moving at different speeds. Since I'm totally lost in the visual portion of this game jam, what better time than now to add in some lighting? To the shock of no one, I'm a big fan of changing the mood of the game as it goes on, and I realized pretty quickly if I just make the canvas modulate different colors, depending on what stage of the fight it is, then look at that, it's all spooky now and dark. From here, all I have to do is put all the characters in, and then the enemies, and then make boss fights, which in my head, I felt like that wasn't much left to do. And how wrong could I honestly possibly be? Working on games isn't easy, which I'm sure you've gathered from the disaster which is this game dev video. Oh, you're in luck though. There's, you're not gonna believe it, but there's help out there, like the sponsor of today's video, Brilliant.org. Brilliant truly has a crazy amount of courses out there. Between math, science, coding, and even AI, especially if you want to get into game dev, Brilliant really does have you covered. Because you're not just putting on a video and then mindlessly tuning out, taking out your phone, you start scrolling. Do you know how many YouTube tutorials I have half watched? And that's being generous. There are just so many things in our life that are begging for attention. In my personal opinion, if you're not actively engaging in the learning process, it can be a little bit of a toss-up on what you're actually retaining. But that's where Brilliant really has you covered. Every course is incredibly interactive. They're taking you step by step, and to top it off, so much of Brilliant is visual. Instead of hearing about some abstract idea, you get to see it play out right in front of you. A course that always matched up really well with my interest was always programming with Python, which is mostly because of similarities between Python and Godot. It helped relieve some of that imposter syndrome that I had built up from not necessarily taking a more traditional path. Also, just opening my eyes to coding outside of game dev, which I think helps for just a greater understanding. And if you want to try it yourself, you can go to brilliant.org/MZ, where you can get started with Brilliant for free and 20% off the annual premium subscription. I want to thank Brilliant so much for sponsoring the video, and with that, let's get back into it. Okay, I work a lot. I frankly talk about working a lot. I think that's stupid. I don't want to have to talk about it. But unfortunately, this past year, 40-hour work weeks have turned into 50, 55-hour work weeks. Sure, I was doing all this art stuff while I brought my laptop to work, but to really jump in there and flesh out some coded system, I knew I wasn't going to be able to do that in a 30-minute lunch break. So most of the major bit of coding had to be done in the last 2 days, which is where we were at in this disastrous game jam. Have I had fun drawing stuff so far? Absolutely. Have I been procrastinating the coding process because I feel uncomfortable and frankly a little fidgety? Who can say? But that stops now, okay? I'm jumping in and we're gonna get something done. We start with the main character, and I had the great idea, I only want to code this once. So for each different main character, they all look at this one script, and that worked surprisingly well. I export all the variables that matter depending on the character, like their movement speed, their jump speed, the gravity, weirdly enough. I think that's how like bugs fly in the world, oh, hold on, I'm getting in too deep. They're light, that's what I'm getting at, but I can't choose the weight of the character, so I think I can just turn the gravity down. I think it's pretty much the same thing. It's about this time I realized the smart decision to add 3 main characters, they didn't cut corners. It's a lot more corners. There's like 4 or 5 possible more corners. It's this fucking dodecahedron we gotta draw now. I also set the bar too high, because each character has their idle and walk animation with their little breath they do. They all have their own jump and dust animations. Even the swipe when they attack, that's gotta be custom to the character, which is dumb. This takes so much time. I say this like I have a boss. I did this to myself. Whatever, we get all that in, and it's working for the most part. You can even pogo. You can smack it down, and your character moves up like some other game that I played before. I made a little meter for special attacks, and when you attack stuff, it builds up, and that's original idea that came up just from my head right here. I gave the little guy not Hadouken. What's the karate one? I looked it up. It's an uppercut, so that's not a karate move at all. It's like a street fight. Oh, Street Fighter. Right. That makes sense. You can use it, and it works, and you go up a little bit, but not too much, and we gotta move on, because we gotta do the boss fights. Well, it's not entirely true, because while that was all happening, I was also putting together the first boss fight. I'm very ADHD. I know it's a surprise, but I jump around. For the first guy, I want to keep him really simple. All he really does is spawn in a random spot on these 2D points, and then he slams down on the ground. Shout out to Tweens and Camera Shake, really sells the whole effect. And right away, I felt like this is actually kind of already a little fun. Because the slam effect felt a little predictable, I added one that goes from left to right and right to left. In order to give the fight a little bit more depth, I added a second attack where he disappears, then spawns in a bunch of these little annoying flies throughout the stage. At first, he wouldn't come back till you killed them all, and I realized it's way more fun if you're trying to navigate all of that at the same time. And so he disappears for a little bit to let you kill them, but he comes back a little bit on the early side, leaving you to have to juggle between the two. Is this amazing game design? No. Do I feel regret mentioning Silksong at all? Yeah, you betcha. But I'm learning, it's all part of the process. Next up, boss phase 2. This returns into the creepy smile standing one. First sight, as soon as I see this guy, I think, I'm not doing a walk cycle. I barely know how to do people walk cycles. I'm not doing Turtle Man walk cycle. I'm not gonna sit here and study like Master Roshi to figure out the anatomy. He was karate to blow up the moon. It's a real story, you look it up. Instead, I just make him jump, so he leaps from platform to platform. But when he lands down, it's a big aerial denial saying you can't stand anywhere on this platform. And what I like about this is that it pays homage to the first stage boss fight. Because these technically are the same character, just evolving, we have this cohesive slamming theme. Now, he can't just jump to any platform because it looked kind of goofy to have him fly across the map, but I didn't want it to be only his immediate left and right, so instead he picks one that's within his reach, and then we spawn an indicator to the player, letting them know, don't go that way. And that's cool. We do copious amounts of screen shake, along with these tween animations really selling the jump. It really does add a lot of polish for not a lot of work. After that, he charges a big jump where he flies off screen, giving us a chance to spawn in enemies like the first phase. I figured we could do something a little bit better than those small flies, but unfortunately, this is kind of crazy to say, this is where I ran out of time. I know you probably don't expect it. Most of my game jams are me pushing through because I was so close to finishing, but this one really wasn't even close. Or maybe you're thinking you did all that extra art stuff. That's of course the reason why you didn't finish. But the truth is, that was just me on my lunch break trying to get something done. Thinking I could balance out these crazy work weeks with a game jam was probably the biggest mistake. I personally find it really hard to code out systems when you only have 30 minutes before you have to stop, as opposed to, I don't know, drawing these little dust effects. That's only only going to take me, I don't know, 25 minutes, leaving me with 5 minutes of good old scrolling time on my telephone. This goes without saying, but I'm not happy about failing. Not a lot of people make videos about failing game jams, or just walking away from your project in general. At least not videos that I see. But I guess what my takeaway is that sometimes it's just not going to work out. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that it wasn't worth trying. And in this case, I thought this idea was actually pretty cool. Especially if I had more time to do these weird abilities. And if nothing else, we gotta live in a world where this garbage dumpster monster exists. Oh yeah, Medium Guy. Who could forget that? His name, right. We could probably take him off screen though. He's a little much. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. Next time I won't fail the game jam, or maybe I will. Oh, you gotta tune in. Shout out to my Patreon subs. You guys are literally the best. Everything from this project will be on the Patreon, so if you want to do something with it, you have my blessing. Until next time, I'll see you later.